Hi guys, it's Ray here from City Fan TV. Hope you guys are all today for another dose of Man City news. What we're going to talk about today. Well, as usual, the last few days, what I've done is I've decided to. There's obviously not a lot of Man City news out there. It's always bits and pieces. There's nothing meaty, nothing to really get your teeth into. So what we're going to do is focus, get through the bits and pieces of City news first, and then focus on something a little bit more weighty, something to talk about. And in the last couple of days, we've talked about Harry Kane, potentially, could he come to City? We talked yesterday about Jack Grealish. Lots of opinions there. And today we're going to talk about, I hope I get his name right, Lautaro Martinez. Danny Tuemi, hope you're well, mate. Cobby, hey, Cobby. Cobby's in there straight away with the bobbins. What we'd have to pay for him. I'd like to think if we did got him, it wouldn't be bobbins, because it's a pretty penny we'd have to pay for Lautaro Martinez. So that's the main bit of news today. But as usual, we'll start off by seeing how you guys are. I know, Cobby, everybody's bobbins. According to you these days, everybody's no good. Let's have a bit of coffee. Back to run out of my decaf coffee. So I'm on, obviously, if you're not having decaf coffee and you're having coffee, it's going to be caffeinated. So strong stuff. So let's see what chat is about. Let's go back to see who's here. So we'll start off as we always seem to do now. We have an on this day screenshots, or we can have desktop wallpaper, but that's what it's for. April the 2nd. I'll just go through this first, Cobby. April 2nd, 1923. It was our last ever victory at Hyde Road. That's where Manchester City played before. They played at Main Road. It's the last ever victory at Hyde Road. A 1-0 win versus Sunderland. And that was a goal scored by Horace Barnes. Horace Barnes. I think we played a couple more times there. Off the top of my head, I think there was a 1-1 and a 0-0. So we drew the last two games, but the last win was on April the 2nd. And Cobby, how's the corona stuff? It's bad news, isn't it, mate? Over 500 people have died today. Lots of problems with the politicians. Cobby, it's so-so. It's so-so. The politicians will try and say they try to introduce it slowly because, they did it for the best. And their argument is people wouldn't be able to cope and they wouldn't follow the rules. My opinion has always been we should have hit it harder. We should have gone in earlier. And we should have gone with more stricter rules, because other countries did it exactly the same. I've looked at Italy extensively, Spain, France. They were like the UK. They held back, and then they had to go. And then they were scared to go all the way. And they did it. I use Italy as an example. On the 8th of March, they said Lombardy, the northern part of Italy, that's going to close. Okay. On the 9th of March, which was the Monday, they said the whole of Italy is going to close because it wasn't enough what they did in Lombardy. They could see where this was heading. 2 days later, they had an even further lockdown where they said only essential businesses could stay open. So you could see it was phased in. Same in Spain, same in France. And the numbers just were not nice to look at. Horrible, horrible. And we had that advantage. We had that a couple of weeks, let's say, advantage in terms of time before it really blasted through the UK, and we wasted it. We wasted that time, and we haven't gone far enough and hard enough. We talk about that. I talked about it at the time. Was it the 11th of March that Liverpool played Atletico Madrid? It should never have happened. Certainly not bringing Atletico Madrid fans 3,000 of them over from a hotspot that was Madrid, where they couldn't even go to watch their own team play. Terrible decision. Hi, Chris Welch. Hope you're well, mate. Terrible decision. And I was someone told me today that Liverpool was it 7th? Liverpool are 7th in terms of the number of cases or the number of people who have died from the coronavirus stroke COVID-19. 7th. They're not the 7th most populous part of the country or more populous city in the country. So it's, there's got to be a link. Gloucestershire and where Cheltenham is for the Cheltenham Festival, 250,000 people over 4 days for that festival. It might be a coincidence, but Gloucestershire and Liverpool are higher in the rankings than Manchester. Liverpool is, I think, 40% more than Manchester? And you'd think that's a bit strange. Danny, I know it's been asked and talked about, but who do you think personally will take over from? Obviously comes out of this, it might stir Pep up and fuel him to stay an extra couple of seasons. He might just want to pack it in. Look, Spain went over 10,000 deaths today. 10,000 people have died in Spain since this started. Okay, and most of them, I suspect, have been in the last 2 weeks, something like that. It's 2.5, 3 weeks. So if I go back 3 weeks, hardly anybody had died in Spain. If you go back something like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, it's frightening. 10,000 people. So there's some people who are just going to say, look, I want to spend time with my family. Football doesn't matter anymore. Italy have lost nearly 14,000 people. So some people are just going to say, and so we don't know. I mean, I think it's too early to say, really, to look at that in too much detail, because we don't know what Pep's going to do. He might say, I'm going to a couple more seasons. He might say, I want nothing more to do with football when this is over, because if 20,000 Spaniards die, maybe it'll take its toll on some people. People just want to change their lives, spend it with their family, whatever. Chris, you're off today. Hey, good, mate. No problems. It's no problem, Chris. Everybody's got things to do at the moment. A lot of us have got night to do, but a lot of us have got something to do. Weeks flying by now. Fear for the season will be null and void, saying that Belgium league. Well, but they give Bruges the title because Bruges had won it anyways. They'd won the title if you looked at the table. But I think Belgium have this odd system where they have to keep some excitement, they have this playoffs thing at the end, like a Premiership, like the Rugby League. But what they've done, Chris, is they've frozen it as it is. That might happen, but you can see more and more leagues like the below the National League in this country, null and void, expunged. National League suspended indefinitely at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen, and it's creeping. We just don't know. Hi, Aaron. Hope you're well, mate. Declan, what do you think about the teams calling for City to be banned from Europe? It's disgraceful, Declan. Look, let it ride out. Why? We know why they're interested, because it's all about money for them. If City are excluded and United finish 5th, they get into Champions League. It's worth probably 40, 50 million quid to United to be in the Champions League rather than the Europa League. It's a huge, probably even a bit more. I mean, that's the direct money from TV money and prize money and gate receipts and sponsorship and all that. But there's also the risk that apparently if they don't get into the Champions League 2 seasons on the bounce, Adidas will ask for about 10 or 50 million off their sponsorship deal. So, this not being in the Champions League could be worth 60 million quid to United. So you can see why they're doing it. They're not doing it for sporting reasons. It's purely money, self-interest. And it's wrong. Let whatever's going to happen. Why do you need to get involved? Yeah, it's terrible. Got to say, terrible news about Eddie Large. Really, really bad. Obviously grew up with him in the 70s and 80s. Late 70s, I think he was on TV on the BBC for about 12, 15 years with Sid Little. Terrible news. Declan, if the league's null and void, will that mean Aguero and a hat-trick is scrapped? That's a really tough one, Declan. No idea. I've never thought about that, to be honest. I mean, it has probably too much detail. It's too much detail to go into. But it really is. It's kind of unfair all over the shop, to throw records away and stuff like that. What's the solution? Honestly, I said many times that I don't really know what the solution is going to be. I know what I've said many times. What I think is the most fair or the least unfair, because everything's going to be unfair to some degree. The least unfair is to let Liverpool have the title. That's the least unfair is, well, they have to win it, but the least unfair is to finish the season. They win the title. There you go. I say that's the least unfair, because then we've gone to a conclusion. No team's going to turn around and say, well, we could have staved off relegation. Like Norwich could turn around and say, we could have got out of relegation. No one's going to. There's obviously a lot to consider, an absolute shed load to consider. But that's going to be for another day. It may be there's apparently a meeting tomorrow. Maybe they'll come up with something. I said before, I can't see them scrapping the season yet. I can't see them doing that, whether it's null and void or stopped as it is, or some jiggery pokery. I can't see them doing it yet, because I think they just want to give it more and more time just to see when we're going to get out of this. We know we're not going to get out of this until at least May, possibly June or July. So, but I think they're just holding on to hope. They're just holding on to hope that they might be able to get out of this. But I just can't. I just can't see it. I think one of those two things are going to happen. It's going to be null and void or stopped. Anyway, as it is. Hi, Blackpool Blu-ray. Hope you're well, mate. La Liga and Serie A will be expunged. Yeah, Chris, there's too many deaths. It's a horrendous situation in Italy. It's not as if, look, the numbers of new infections are going down. The number of new cases are going down. But they still had nearly 5,000 cases today. Okay, those cases will take a week or two to come to a conclusion. Sadly, a lot of those could perish. Spain had over 6,000 cases today. Germany over 6,000 cases today. UK over 4,000 cases today. Okay, countries like Belgium are getting hammered. Okay, 11 million people in Belgium. Okay, and they've got over 1,000 deaths. Netherlands, 17 million people, 1,300 deaths. And these are all getting over 1,000 cases a day. Switzerland over 1,000 cases a day today. So this is not going away. And Italy, how can Italy would just say forget it. Even the Juventus fans will say forget it. I mean, they've been absolutely decimated over there. So it ain't happening. It ain't happening for me. Absolutely, Blackpool Blue. It's all about money. Declan, every other sporting event has been cancelled apart from the league football. It is. It has to. It's about money. Look, Wimbledon left it late. Was it yesterday that Wimbledon called or the All England club called off the Wimbledon tennis championships this summer? And that's because once again they're leaving it as long as possible until it's inevitable, and they realise it's inevitable. So they've had to cancel it. Hi, Ikram. Hope you're well. Hope you're very well, mate. Well, finish off. I'll just quickly remind you of this April the 2nd. What happened on this day? 1923, City's last victory at Hyde Road, 1-0 against Sunderland. Goal by Horace Barnes. As I said, we had a couple more games there after the April the 2nd, but they were drawn. But it's our last victory. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my picture to, let's have a look. I think this is the one I want. No, that's not the one I want. Let's go for this one. Can't see it very well. Ooh, that's our man, Lautaro Martinez. That's our talk today. Blackpool have been poorly for 2 weeks, but over the worst. And good to hear Blackpool Blu-ray. Obviously, she's not around for a while. Tony Lee Currit, sadly, this is showing the dark side. Absolutely. Look, there's a lot of things. We'll talk about the money thing. There's a lot of things. We had Matt Hancock. I have to say that carefully because I want to say something else. Matt Hancock, was it Health Minister? talking about footballers and saying they earn so much they should be donating their money for the. They should be donating some of their salary, either I guess to pay off some to the NHS or to pay off the lower paid staff or the non-footballing staff at the clubs. Haven't seen the MPs come out. I haven't seen Matt Hancock say, hey, here's 20% of my MP salary. And by the way, I'll not just give you 20% of my MP salary. I'll give 20% of all the money I make outside of being an MP, for my directorship here or whatever. I'm going to give that to charity or to a good cause, and it's going to go to the NHS or this hospital or whatever. Not heard them coming out and saying that. And if I remember correctly, they got a hefty pay rise not too long ago. That did it come into force recently, or is it about to come into force? So it's just absolutely pathetic to come out. A lot of the footballers, it's up to them. End of the day, it's up to them. It's their money. They can do what they like with it. Why should we castigate them? Yes, it would be nice, but there's other people earning, with even more money. Look at the top people earners in the country. They're earning more than footballers. Why aren't we saying out to them? It's like Paul Hayward having to go in at City and saying we should give some money to, lower league teams and stuff. Actually, we don't need to. We don't need to. And suddenly, Sheikh Mansour's money is all right. Whereas a couple of months ago, it was dirty oil money. And they didn't want any of it. Now it's all right. It's absolutely rubbish. Abdullah, hope you're well, mate. I'm all right. Hey, Martinez's brothers are blue. Well, there you go. And it's chasing football wages. I don't think that's going to happen, Chris. You know that. Hey, take care, Angus. Have a good evening. Well, there we go, Abdullah. We're going to talk about him in any minute. So, I'm going to say big hello to our Muppet friends. You know who you are. Why stay silent? Why just come on to give a down tick and keep quiet? Say something. Martinez is a perfect replacement for Aguero, says Abdallah Alamami. So let's move on to these. Really, let me go through any tiny stories because that's all we're looking at. There's not really a lot to talk about. Apparently, a shirt design has been leaked. I'm not going to go into that. We heard about that last month, but it's something in America that about shirt design is being leaked. KDB apparently has said that apparently agrees with Harry Kane and the season should be null and void. He's not interested by the signs of it. He doesn't want the start of next season compromised. If we're going to mess up with one season, it should be this season. That's okay. Leroy Sané's fit. That'd make Kobe happy. Really, there's not a lot to talk about. Looking through the headlines. Nah. Okay, so let's move on to Lautaro Martinez. Look, and Kobe says he's Bobbins. Yeah, Declan, that's a good one, mate. That's a good one, yeah. Big target, or X marks the spot, because they're all stabbing us in the back at the moment. Okay, Martinez. Now, look, we do know that Sergio's, 31 years old. He's still a great player, but he's not a spring chicken anymore. He's not as, I don't think he's got as much energy. He's not got that as explosive pace. I think he's still fast, but not fast enough. I saw him last season where you'd think, 3 or 4 years ago, he just burst past players and stay past them and keep going. Now you can just see him, with the defenders sometimes, he just can't keep that pace going, and he can't run away from them. So we're not sure about Gabby. Is Gabby going to be good enough? So I'm sure City are looking at other players. And look, I'll say up front, how much do you trust the stories? Who knows? But it says City are reportedly willing to activate the release clause in Lautaro Martinez's Inter Milan contract in order to sign a centre forward during the summer's transfer window. We don't even know if that's going to happen. So already alarm bells ringing. Anyway, look, if Martinez is moving, a lot of teams are supposedly interested. People like Barcelona Real Madrid, Manchester United. I mean, they're interested in everybody under the sun. He's had a decent season. Decent. I'm not going to say it's fantastic, but he scored 16 goals in 31 appearances for Inter Milan. Now, City, the release clause is supposed to be just a shade under £100 million. And that's valid for a 2-week period from the July the 1st to July the 15th. 100 million. I mean, that sounds like a lot. We're going to pay him about 10 million euros. That's not a problem. Okay. He's been at Inter for a couple of seasons. He's scored 25 times in 66 games, which is not even 1 in 2. It's about 1 in 2, 2.5, or more than 2.5. So, is that enough? But in a team like City, well, you'd expect him to score more. Declan, Chief Raiden, Jaime, are you well? Abdel, if the season is null and void, then all records made by us will be wiped out like Aguero and Rodri. Absolutely. Absolutely. We still get... Absolutely. Absolutely, Chris. I agree. Kai Havertz, Martinez, if they done it once, can they do it for twice? I think 100's too much. I mean, when you look at his stats, has he done enough? 100 million is a lot of money to play, unless you look at someone and say, yes, he's just so outstanding that you've got to have him. Okay. Now look, he is 22 years old. He'll be 23 in August. Age is all right. He's not tall. He's about 5'9", so Aguero-esque in height. He's Argentinian. He's been Inter Milan a couple of seasons. Has he scored enough goals? That's always what I say. At Racing Club, 48 appearances, 22 goals. Inter Milan, what did I say? 66 appearances, 25 goals. Question is it enough? Because of his age, is he still going to keep on improving? Is he going to score a lot more goals? I mean, he wasn't cheap. Inter Milan paid just over 20 million euros for him, so that's a reported fee. So if they're going to sell him, they're going to want big money. I don't see them saying they're going to take anything less than the buyout clause or the release clause, unless they need the money for, obviously, whenever we come out of this situation. I've always put that caveat out that we don't know what's going to happen financially once we're out of this situation. But I think, really, 100 million quid, I think that's too much. I think that's too much for, as Chris Welch has quite rightly said, for one season. He's had one decent season. Is that enough? Is that enough to warrant spending 100 million? Aaron Booth, I don't know, to be honest, what his contract length is. Hi, Sinini Yusuf, how you doing, mate? Chief Raiden. No, I haven't seen pictures of the Manchester, or the Manchester, I thought you put Manchester United venue. Yeah, Chief Raiden, I saw lots of stuff, I read lots of stuff when this was actually in the business papers rather than in the normal papers or the football news, when it was actually in the business papers. Oak View, I think that's the company behind it, and actually Oak View, part owned by Silver Lake. Silver Lake bought 10% of CFG, the City Football Group, for $500 million last year, and they've also got a big stake in Oak View, who are the developers, or the entertainment company doing that. Richarlison, nah, I'm not so sure, Mark. Honestly, I'm not so sure about Richarlison. He's hit and miss. He's still young, but he's hit and miss for me. Sometimes he looks unbelievable, like Gabby, and sometimes you think, this guy's not good enough, like Gabby. Yeah, Aaron, but I think a lot of it's going to depend what's the situation once we get out of this predicament, the crisis that we're in. Will United have as much money to spend? Because obviously, look, their income has tanked this year. Their income's tanked. That's the one problem for them. Their share price has tanked. So will they be able to borrow the money to be able to buy players? I mean, they might just be told you can't borrow any money to buy players. It could be a terrible situation for them. Bring back Dzeko. Yeah, but I think has he signed a new extension to his contract, Declan? So Lautaro Martinez, as we've said, I think his age is right, got some good qualities. Is he good enough? Yeah, Declan. I think, but the thing was, he wasn't playing as well, and he looked a little bit like sulky and unhappy. He wasn't firing for us at the end. Tony, it's hard to find someone to replace someone with such a reputation. Whoever succeeds Aguero will have a huge pressure. Absolutely. Look, when we got Aguero, I mean, he was a good player. We knew he was a good player from his stats, but we hadn't seen him much in the flesh. And the thing with Aguero at the time, we had Tevez. We had Tevez as well. So we already had somebody else who was scoring goals. And I think we had Mario as well. Okay. Definitely, I think Mario there the season before Aguero came. So we had Mario, we had Tevez. We had other strikers. Okay. Must have been someone else. Was it too late? I think too late for Bellamy. So he didn't. All the pressure wasn't on him. He didn't get thrust in, and we had no one else to turn to. He was our main man straight away. No, Tevez was still our main man. So if we got Martinez, what would happen to Aguero? If we got Martinez in the next transfer window, would he play with Aguero? Would it be 1-1? Sometimes Aguero, sometimes Martinez. Like Aguero's introduction at a similar age. I think Aguero's a year or two younger. So it's going to be obviously very, very interesting. I might have missed so I always apologize when I miss a few because obviously when you guys write a lot, I miss a few. I think Harry Kane is the best option for us for many reasons. England player, leader, he knows the league and machine. Absolutely seen in here. We talked about Harry Kane 2 days ago, and those are the reasons I said Harry Kane. He knows the league. He's been banging in goals for like 4 or 5 seasons, 20 goals a season in this league. Okay, and he does tap-ins. He's good in the air, long range, everything. He's got the works. Okay, as we said, he knows the league. He's scored plenty of goals. He knows it's going to be raining a lot here. He speaks the language. There's no culture shock, and for him, it's just it is that step up to a better team. And I think Harry Kane, a full season, will score 30-odd goals for Man City with the number of chances we create. I really do believe that. He's a better penalty taker as well. So, I think Harry Kane is a very, very good shout. Bring back Vinny, says Chief Red. And Blackpool Blurry, the way things are going with this far, our next striker might not have been born. Oh, come on, behave. Behave. Chief Red and Rep. Yep, Tevez. I love Tevez's style. He gave everything. Sometimes he'd fly back the night before on the day of a game from Argentina, and he'd give everything. You wouldn't know that had happened. Harry Kane, I think, is a great shout. He's top. One that if I was looking, he's got to be in the conversation. I agree, Aaron. It doesn't fit our model, but if that's the going rate, maybe we have to. I don't think it will be the going rate, but I think if Harry Kane was available for 150, I think we'd be interested to pay that. Chris, yeah, but I don't think he's got a 3-year contract at Anderlecht, and I think if you look at what Vinny's done, yeah, he's going to stick that out. It's his first club and everything else, and he's paying the wages, I think, of the non-playing staff, something like that. He said, so he's going to be contributing money to wages and stuff. So I think what happened was Anderlecht players were asked to take a pay cut or something, or contribute to other staff's wages. And then he said, if any player doesn't want to take a wage cut, I'll pay his money. I'll pay theirs. I'll pay their share. So he's, look, it's in his heart as well. As much as City's in his heart, Anderlecht is in his heart as well. So I think he's going to stick it out there, and maybe he'll come as manager once Pep's gone. I'd have liked him to be here with Pep. That's what I would have liked next season. Could have been if he wants to do the manager. If he wants to have a go at that, it could have been a player coach under Pep. But anyway, that's where we are. Yeah, Aaron, look, 150. Harry Kane, in the early days, I remember scoring some incredible goals. I remember against Arsenal from ridiculous angles. So he will go for goal, and I just think right now he's a good option. Chris Welch, yeah, I think most teams would take Harry Kane. Price has got to be right. Price has got to be right. But yeah, I'd be very interested. But Lautaro Martinez, I think, in summary, he's just too. We haven't seen enough of him, and 100 million is just too much to pay for a guy we're not sure of, I think. John Holden Kane would give us the extra dimension. Excellent finisher too. Absolutely. That's why I think 150, I'd pay it. Because, like I said, very determined, okay? Even with his injuries, he gets in probably an injury every season, misses 7 or 8 games. He's still scoring 20 league goals every season, okay? Penalties, better than Aguero on penalties. In the air, okay, he's taller than Aguero. That's going to help. I mean, I think Aguero is decent in the air, but we'll get a bit more, extra height. And he's scoring tap-ins. He'll get those poachers goals for you. But he works extremely hard. You have to, at Spurs, you have to work extremely hard. He's working harder than Sergio. And he scores not just tap-ins, he scores incredible goals from silly angles. He's greedy, he's single-minded, and like Sergio, and he scores lots of goals from distance. So I like it. I think so as well, Chris. You get better value the Martinez. Look, Aaron, the Spurs, I don't think you can say that. I think this season they've not been great. Last season they fell off, but the Champions League finalists last season, the season before, the top 4, okay, they might have had a few bottle jobs, but they were a decent outfit under Pochettino. Regular top 4. Could have done better in that season, and was it 2016 when Leicester won. But they might not be brilliant, but he's still scoring 20-odd goals every season. So there's got to be, obviously, something about the guy. Absolutely, Aaron. People just say, here you are, Harry, tap it in. Ikram, I can't see. But look, if Harry Kane says, I want to go, that was the rumour that he's might be looking to leave because he'll be 20. I think we said 27 in the summer. So he might be looking to move on. He wants to win something. He's seen Kyle Walker. Okay, Kyle Walker. He left Spurs in 2 seasons at City. He's won 2 league titles. He's won 2 Carabao Cups, and this season he's got a Carabao Cup. He's won an FA Cup, a couple of Community Shields, and he's earning more money. What is not to like about that? Sinini, 150 is cheap for an amazing, great, smart striker. Sell Sane for 100 and 3 or 4 loan players for 50. If Harry Kane is Manchester City player, I'm sure he's absolutely. I said 30 goals easily if he plays enough games. Absolutely. Look, City could offer him a little bit more money, but they'll offer him the 2 teams in England who offer any player a chance of winning stuff. Realistically, Liverpool and Man City. Look how far Liverpool are ahead in the league, and last 2 seasons, how far City were ahead in the league, okay? And look who's been winning all the trophies. Look who's been winning all the trophies. The last 3 seasons, we won 3 League Cups. Last 2 seasons, 2 Premier Leagues, 2, I think, Charity Shields, Community Shields, and the FA Cup. Basically, City have been hoovering up the domestic trophies, and Liverpool won the Champions League last season. Look, come on. I don't think there's any question those are the 2 teams that are going to be winning the trophies. You'd think in the foreseeable future. Chris says Tottenham is just a strange team. Their squad on paper should be top 4. Yeah, I agree. It's defensively. And it's a funny thing because I think in the last couple of seasons, they've had a decent defence. I think the defence has been really good. And people have coveted Toby Alderweireld. They've looked at Jean Vertonghen, he's probably too old. And they've looked at their full-backs. Obviously we took Walker. Danny Rose has been talked about, but I think he's gone backwards. So they've got some really, really good players. And suddenly they can't defend now. Aaron, I can't believe they drew us 2-2 at our place and beat us 2-0 at theirs. They were rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. Sinine says, The English press says Arteta wants Stones at Arsenal. If that's true of it. Well, that's what the English press say. And I think probably Stones would be of interest to Arteta. I think he would be. Whether Stones would go, whether Arsenal will pawn up 50 million, I'm not sure. Right, guys, I think that's my lot. The jammy team Spurs, yeah. Look, the biggest jammy team this season would be Spurs if we declared the season null and void and they got into the Champions League. That is just so unfair. So unfair because they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it at all. That should go to someone who deserves it. Maybe Sheffield United. But anyway, guys, thank you for 35 very pleasant minutes. Look after yourselves. If you're working to keep the country running, I salute you. Doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. You know, if you're helping to keep the country moving forwards, got to say thanks. Got to say thanks. And it's a funny old thing that suddenly a lot of low-paid jobs are so important because workers. It's not really, you know, your sports people, your movie stars, your musicians, your hedge fund managers. Nah, it's everybody else. The little guys, you know, that those other people can be looking down on from time to time. It's the little guys keeping the country moving. So well done, guys. See you, Blackpool Blu-ray. I hope you feel better soon. Thanks, Declan. Nice of you to be on tonight. Guys, look after yourselves, yeah? And we'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Take care, guys.